We now know all 4 teams from the VCT Americas League that will be attending champions, and that is because of an insane playoff bracket that we have experienced so far. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking about the VCT Americas Stage 2 playoffs and how crazy it has been. So this is the board we have today. We have all 6 matches that have occurred so far, and we will be starting on the matches that happened on the first day of playoffs, and that is Crew versus C9. Now this was an elimination match. Whichever team lost this match would not be attending the rest of the playoffs and would not be attending champions. Both teams without enough points to qualify for the champion point slot that Sentinels ended up getting. So this was a do or die match for both of these teams, and it proved to be an incredibly insane match. This was an insanely back and forth match, Crew and C9 just trading around for round, map for map, but overall it was Crew that ended up being the team on top. These are 2 teams that typically in playoff situations, in these big situations, kind of have a history of choking, but Crew ended up being the team that choked the least. Looking at map 1, we have Abyss. Now I'm doing a little bit of a different layout. I'm showing more of the VLR page, so if you guys like this one or if you want me to go back to the bigger one, then let me know. But I figured this would be better because we can see all the player stats and the comps and whatnot. Anyways, this was a 13-11 win in favor of Crew, Abyss being C9's pick. This is the first time that Abyss has been played in the VCT Americas, and I, for one, really love this map. Maybe it's just because it's new, and I know that within like 2 weeks, everybody's going to hate this map, but I really like the verticality that Abyss brings to the game. I think it's a very unique map, and I think that's good for the game. I don't want every map to be exactly the same and be this cookie cutter defensive side thing. Even if Abyss ends up sucking right now, I think it's fun to watch because teams are figuring out how to play this map. Anyways, looking at the first half of this map, we saw that Crew was pretty quickly in control, but C9 was able to tie it back up, and it was 6-6 at the first half. Then after Crew wins the second pistol, the 2 teams trade rounds for a little bit. C9 does briefly take the lead, but Crew get the 2 that they needed. Then we have Lotus, which definitely was the craziest map out of this whole match. This was a 13-11 win in favor of C9, but Crew really took it to them on this one. As you can see, the first half was all C9. It was 10-1 at the half. C9 were in control. They were looking like we were just about to breeze to Haven, and then all of a sudden Crew goes on this insane win streak to almost tie the game. Some crazy plays by both Heat and Kisnet to make this one really close, and it really looked like C9 were going to screw this up. But they finally get the win on round 24, but now all the momentum is in favor of Crew. And that would continue into Haven, where this would be a 13-6 win in favor of Crew. They were immediately in control 9-3 at the half, and then C9 trying to get a little bit, winning 3 rounds on their second half, but just wasn't enough. Crew got what they needed. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Crew, we have Heat, who I think had his best game as a member of Crew. He went 65, 36, and 32 for plus 29. Very good numbers from him. Then on the side of C9, we have Moose, who had a pretty good performance, going 47, 47, and 4 for 0. So this ends C9 season. Yet again, they choke in the playoffs, losing in the knockout round in Stage 1 playoffs and doing the same exact thing for Stage 2, and even going back to last year, very similar vibes. This team has not been able to get over the hump. Very unfortunate for them, and Crew really wanted it more. At the end of the day, Crew had more skill and more tenacity to put this one in the bag. C9 definitely had their chance, and they just blew it. And for Crew, this was a really good way to start their playoff run, one that would not end early. So moving on to the second single elimination match of the playoff bracket, we have 100 Thieves versus Sentinels. And this is the first time since 2022 where 100 Thieves were able to beat Sentinels. This is a matchup that usually goes in the favor of Sentinels. Even before that one match that 100 Thieves won in 2022, Sentinels had an insane win streak against them. But in this playoff bracket, 100 Thieves were able to get it done, and they looked a lot better than Sentinels for most of this match. Obviously, there are some factors with Sentinels right now that are definitely hampering them, not to make excuses for them, but, you know, Sassy's dog passed away, and John QT had to go to the hospital, so he's in some pain. Team has not been at full strength, they haven't been at full health, but it doesn't matter when the playoff stage comes because you need to get it done, and unfortunately they weren't able to. However, they are still going to champions off of the championship point system, so this didn't really matter to them, and honestly, them losing this early kind of benefits them. Now they have a lot more time off than other teams going to champs, so they can just kind of chill and plan, and hopefully all heal both mentally and physically. So honestly, this kind of hurt 100 Thieves in the end, and we'll get to how their playoff run end. But for this one, 100 Thieves had the upper hand. Looking at map 1, we have Haven, which was a 13-7 win in favor of 100 Thieves. Really dominant start from 100 Thieves. They would make it 9-3 at the half. Sentinels would try to mount a comeback, but they just couldn't get it done. Then we move on to Ascent, which was closer, and Sentinels almost made the comeback to take this one, but 100 Thieves would put it in the bag. And I just want to say, John QT on the deadlock, listen, it's not like he was terrible in this match or anything, but I'm really tired of seeing teams try to make deadlock work. I'm sure there are some cool ideas that you can do with her, and you're probably trying to throw your opponent off, but at the end of the day, I don't think this agent is very good. I don't think you should be risking something potentially stronger just to try to catch your opponent off guard. It doesn't seem to work. We've seen it work at times during this season, but for the most part, deadlock, I just don't see her as a viable agent right now. Maybe she gets buffed again. She probably will, but until then, please stop running her. Anyways, 100 Thieves winning the pistol and the first 3 rounds. It was 3-1 at round 4, and then 100 Thieves would go on a 5-round win streak. This would be the start of putting fear into the Sentinels players and to the Sentinels fan base, who are starting to realize that, ooh, they might lose this match. And even though Sentinels won 3 rounds in a row to end the half, that was their defense side on Ascent, and you should definitely do better than 4 rounds if you're expecting to win that game. So going into 100 Thieves defense half, they win 4 in a row of their own to start it. So they're at match point, and Sentinels win 6 rounds in a row to make this one close. They were 2 rounds out from tying it, but they could not get it done. 100 Thieves would win it. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of 100 Thieves, we have Bane, who had a very good game, going 43, 22, and 16 for plus 21. And on the side of Sentinels, Zekin, really slow start for him, but he picked it up later, especially during that comeback. He went 39, 37, and 7 for plus 2. So as I said earlier, Sentinels are in champion, so this match ended up not really mattering that much. They do now get in automatically off of champion points, even though 100 Thieves now has the same amount of points. In head-to-head matchups, Sentinels have the upper hand because they have beat them twice this year. But for 100 Thieves, you have the one-up on Sentinels right now. We'll see what happens next time these two teams face, but it won't be at champions. So moving on to the second day of playoffs, we have Leviathan versus Crew. So this was the El Clasico, I hope I'm saying that right, as we call it. These are the 2 Latin American teams in the VCT Americas League, and it's always an entertaining match. However, this one not as entertaining as previous ones because Leviathan just kind of blew Crew out. So if Leviathan won this one, then Sentinels would qualify for champions, and apparently this was personal to Ospas, really wanting to help his friend Saucy out, which I just think is amazing. Ospas, not only is he one of the best players in the world, but he's an incredible friend. So even though that this was a match that didn't matter for Leviathan because they already qualified for champions, this was personal to Ospas, and he got it done. And looking at map 1, we can see that immediately Leviathan were going to take this one home pretty quickly. It was a 13-2 win in favor of Leviathan, immediately winning the first 4 rounds. Crew only able to get 2 at the half, so it's 10-2, and then 3 rounds in a row by Lev would end this one very quickly. Then on Sunset, very similar story, 10-2 at the half again. Crew would win the pistol and the next one, but you're not really going to come back from that against Leviathan, not going to happen, so they would win 3 in a row to end it. And I just want to say, Ospas on the Neon, he has been looking incredible on this agent. Ospas is an incredibly good player. Some were saying in the past that, oh, he's only good on Jet. No, he's good on basically every duelist, and him on the Neon right now that Neon is back in the meta in a strong way, very good to see. Looking at the team MVPs, who else but Ospas, going 40, 15, and 6 for plus 25 on the side of Leviathan. And on the side of Crew, Melzer did have a mediocre game, but there were all mediocre numbers for Crew in this game. That's what happens when you only win 6 rounds. But he went 15, 28, and 12 for minus 13. So with this win, Leviathan would go on to the winter final where they would face G2, but we'll get to that match later. And then Crew were bumped down to lowers where they had to face either G2 or 100 Thieves. This match definitely made Crew fans a little bit antsy and just felt like, oh, well, we just had that awesome win against C9, but now we're about to see another collapse. That ended up not being the case, but this definitely did not instill confidence early on. So moving on to the aforementioned G2 versus 100 Thieves match, this would be a 2-0 victory for G2. G2 have been improving so much. I've been so impressed by what I've seen from this team. They look incredibly disciplined, incredibly smart, incredibly well coached, incredibly well called. Every single part of this team is firing on all cylinders, and even though Busio said that they were a good matchup for G2, that G2 facing them probably had them really scared, No, ended up not being the case. G2 really wanted to win this one. They wanted champs locked down early. They did not want to have to worry about it and go down to lowers, so they were able to beat a team that has had their number this year, and I think that just goes to show how good this team has gotten. Looking at map 1, we have Lotus, where G2 would immediately establish dominance. It would be 7-5 at the half in favor of G2, so just a 2-round difference. 100 Thieves absolutely can come back from this, but G2 showing off how insanely good they are on their attack side. I felt like they were better on defense in general, but their attack side right now is also looking very saucy. They would win 6 rounds in a row to close this one out and not bringing this one close. Decent comp for G2 as well. I like the Sova on this map, and Astra is probably one of the better smokes characters on this one. It would be 7-5 at the half yet again, so 100 Thieves are keeping it close, but G2 is still just one step ahead, having a very solid defense side, Valen just outcalling Busio. Then 100 Thieves would start to find a little bit more success early on their defense side, but G2 were in the lead and they got it done. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of G2, we have Trent, who went 34, 23, and 20 for +11. And on the side of 100 Thieves, we have Bane, who went 29, 31, and 16 for -2. So with this win, G2 qualified for champions. They will be going to their second international of the year, and they absolutely deserve it. This playoff run just goes to show how good this team is right now. I know a lot of people call this team boring, but I personally like watching how smart they are, how disciplined they are, and it may not be as chaotic fun, but it definitely is fun to watch because it's just impressive. This team is playing some incredibly good Valorant right now. And 100 Thieves, this started to make things a bit shaky, but they definitely were favored against Crew, right? Well, we'll get to that when we get to that, but we have to talk about G2 versus Leviathan. Honestly thought that Leviathan would probably have the upper hand on this one and would probably beat G2 because they hadn't even dropped a map in stage 2 up until this point. But G2 showing that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what kind of talent you have, we are going to smother you and you will not be able to do much. G2 winning this one in a definitive 2-0 victory, really taking it to this team. Right now, Valen might be the best IGL in the VCT Americas right now, and this match really goes to show it. Not dropping a map in playoffs so far, they're really looking to take home that America's trophy, and they are in grand finals because of this match. Looking at map 1, we have Icebox, which was Leviathan's pick, and Leviathan hadn't lost on this map in a very long time. I believe the stats said they hadn't lost on this map since May, so this was a long time coming. G2 on Icebox have been pretty up and down. It used to be their best map, and then they started losing on it, and now they're good at it again. No idea what's going on there, but G2 were clearly the better team. Really just shutting down Ospas, keeping him to only 17 kills on the entire map. G2 doing all this while not having a duelist of their own. They had Icy on the get-go instead, and it panned out. Ended up being 10-2 at the half. Everybody thought that this was going to be a close game, but it really wasn't to start. Leviathan would mount a bit of a comeback on their attack side, but it just wasn't enough. Then on Bind, very similar story. G2 just had the lead the entire time. They were always in control, always having the momentum on their side. 8-4 at the half, so not the craziest lead, but definitely in control. Leviathan would win the pistol, but they wouldn't get to their bonus, and G2 close out the match by winning 5 rounds in a row. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Leviathan, we have Ospas going 39, 27, and 5 for +12, so even though they lost, he still had a good match. And on the side of G2, we have Jonah P, who went 38, 30, and 16 for +8. So I think this match establishes who the best is in Americas right now. We'll see if that changes over the next couple days. G2 will have to face one of Leviathan or Crew in the grand finals. We'll see what happens there, because last time that happened, Leviathan just ran away with it. And if that ends up being the case, I do expect Leviathan to come into that rematch against G2 with the fire in their belly to really take it to them. But we haven't gotten there yet. We have to talk about Crew versus 100 Thieves. Crew versus 100 Thieves was easily the craziest match of this entire playoffs, even crazier than the first match of the playoffs, which was Crew versus C9. So during these playoffs, Crew are either giving you a heart attack by how close their games are, or looking terrible. No in between. Honestly, sounds par for the course for Crew, but they were able to get this one done 2-1. And honestly, watching this one, it was incredibly fun. I like both of these teams, so either way, I was fine with this. But mainly, I was just sad that whichever team lost this match wasn't going to go to champions, because both of these teams are very strong. I think both of these teams are very good. They showed it against one another, just trading rounds, trading maps. This was probably the most back and forth match of the entire playoff so far. Most of the matches during this playoff so far have been 2-0 victories, but these two teams really making this one close. Both teams really wanted that champ spot so bad, but in the end, Crew were able to do it, they don't miss out on champs. Looking at map 1, we have Icebox, which was a 13-9 win in favor of 100 Thieves. 6-6 at the half, so really close there, but then 100 Thieves were able to go on a substantial win streak, 6 rounds in a row, and then they just needed one more to take the map. Then on Lotus, this is where the game would really start to tighten up, back and forth by both teams. Just look at the first half. Crew get 2 to start, then Thieves get 1, back to Crew, back to 100 Thieves, Crew, Thieves, Crew, Thieves. Like, it just never ended. And to start the second half, Crew get the pistol, and then 100 Thieves win 3 of their own. But then Crew would get the 5 that they needed after that to win this one, to make this one go to map 3. And this is where things got really, really dicey, and this map really could have gone either way. Ascent was a 13-11 win in favor of Crew, but 100 Thieves got so close to that match point. Thieves would start off by winning the first 2 rounds, then Crew win 3 of their own. Then a 5-round win streak would give 100 Thieves the lead that they needed. EU and Cryo leading the charge in this match to make this one very competitive. After some smart timeouts by Crew's coach, Crew would get 2 of their own, 2.5. So it's 7-5 heading into the second map, and Crew are on the defense side. So it's only a 2-round lead for 100 Thieves, and now Crew are going on to their favorable half. Crew would start it off by winning the first 2 rounds, then 100 Thieves would get to 11 by winning 4 in a row. During this map, Crew was losing winnable rounds. They always would have a numbers advantage, then either EU or Cryo would just outfrag everybody, and then 100 Thieves would have the lead. It was a recipe for disaster for Crew, but they held on, and with MTA, Melzer, and Keznit leading the charge, they would get this one done, winning 6 rounds in a row to close this one out and punch their ticket to Seoul. Some incredible clutches by players of both teams, but Crew were just able to get that momentum and just hang on to it and not let it go. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Crew, I can't believe I didn't mention Shy while I was talking about that, but he had a crazy match. 59, 49, and 14 for +10 and a very good final map to end it off. On the side of 100 Thieves, we have Cryocells, who had a very good game. It is a shame we won't be seeing this guy at Champs, but he went 65, 47, and 9 for +18. So this would end 100 Thieves season. Crew move on. They will be at Champions. Crew have never missed a Champions. They're not going to start now, even if 100 Thieves probably on paper is the better team. But in this moment, in this match, Crew were able to do it. I can't take any credit away from 100 Thieves though. They deserve this just as much as Crew did. They just weren't able to close it out. They worked incredibly hard this year. They improved a lot themselves. It's a shame we won't see them at Champs, but that's just how it goes. Really excited to see what Crew can do. Hopefully they don't do what they did at Champions last year and get there after a crazy LCQ run and then lose their only 2 matches. So hoping that doesn't happen here, because that would just feel like a waste after beating a team as good as 100 Thieves. So next up we have the lower final. So this will be a best of 5 between Crew versus Leviathan. Leviathan probably have the upper hand in this. They absolutely decimated Crew in the match earlier in the bracket, but losing that match did help them beat 100 Thieves today, just having that fire in their belly. So maybe they can find that fire again and beat Leviathan, but we'll see what happens. Leviathan have had the upper hand on that matchup for most of this year. So those are all the matches that we have to talk about for the playoffs so far. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of all these matches, and who do you think is going to take home the VCT Americas trophy? What do you think of the teams that are going to Champs? Please let me know in the comments. Please click like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.